Today, May the 18th, 2015, and we are about to go into the Gordon City Council meeting. Today is May the 18th, 5:30 p.m.
Good evening. The meeting is now called to order. Today is May 18th, 2015, 5:30 p.m. And let us all stand for, let us bow our head for a word of prayer. This evening, our Heavenly Father, we want to give you thanks, honor, and praise. We ask, Heavenly Father, that you be with us in this meeting and bless all of us as council members and help us to do the business of the city according to your will. For us in your Son, Jesus' name, we all say amen. Amen. Let us stand and pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We've got the, I'd like to welcome you to another council meeting, and I have on, as we have on the agenda, the minutes from the May 4th meeting.
May I say something?
Go ahead.
There's just a few typos, like wrong form or two, or other little words in here. I've already corrected on the computer. We won't go through them unless y'all just want to. But just things like capitalization and the wrong
Yeah, for
word
instance,
usage.
exactly, on page 3, in that very last paragraph, I think you said, excuse.
Right. You're supposed to excuse me, but I corrected all those already, but I didn't catch them until after I had already mailed them out. But they have been corrected, but if y'all want to go through each one, we can.
There is another one, this right here, this Councilwoman told us that we are doing.
What page are you on?
The top page.
You did say it, but I can take it out if you don't want it in there.
Yeah, but I thought, this was what she said.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Which one is that?
Y'all don't know which one said it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and on page 5, there's a question. I noticed we said that in previous times in the meeting, we've said about the fence. And, you know, we said we got a brick mason that did the Collins and Lowe's out of Milledgeville, came down and gave us an estimate and a bid. The consensus of it all has been, since I've been here, is that we needed 3 bids. Y'all didn't do 3 bids.
You just had a question, nothing changed?
Right.
Oh, okay.
As I was reading through that, I noticed always in the past when I've, in meetings since I've been here, it's been a total of 3 having to take bids. But this one just said, and a bid.
We followed the correct procedure, yes ma'am, at that time, so that's all behind us now.
Okay, since that's behind, but I'd like to say that if we're gonna be consistent, we just don't change down the river. Okay, and on page 6, got a question, and that's in parentheses. And on page 8, the very first paragraph, I have a problem with that. We've agreed about to let the credit card stay at $10,000. So we've already, have you submitted that, the credit application to the bank, because you mentioned you.
I told you we had some problems with it, remember?
What is that?
Number 1, you didn't complete your part. Number 2, the way the bank is wanting to set up is to have individual credit cards for every single employee in the city.
That's not the way it's been done in the past. That's what we've not voted on. And the thing of it is that when I filled out the application, I'm just saying, previously I went by the guide of the last application of the previous
Yeah,
mayor.
but you just need to sign some more, that's all, but
Sign some,
you didn't sign everything you need to sign, but we need to get this other part cleared up. She has called the home office to see if there's any way we can only get one credit card,
okay,
so we're still working on it.
that's fine. But I just want to make sure, because I didn't understand it, I wanted you to go over that, and anything that I need to sign, please bring that to my attention, because I read everything
I am,
and
I'm still
signed
trying to
off
get it all straightened out.
on it. Okay, because we need to go ahead and get that done, we don't want to make that the longest part of the, credit card business. And also on page 9, Councilmember Whipple said now what this is where we gonna be taking off Terry Reese and Tommy, all the other council members remain the same with our name on it. So, okay, and on page 10, city clerk said you just want to, like you said, a grammatical.
I took out the 1, 2, yeah, but what's wrong with the other one? She
No,
just
that's
mentioned?
fine. The other thing of it is with the previous credit card, I do know that with the Georgia Fund 1, that we will take Councilman Reese's name off that, but that's coming from the Treasury Department, the resolution. So we don't have to take that through. And besides, Attorney Boone has submitted the resolution for all the other accounts. So with that being said, you want to be taken on. So you said, what about your name? Is what now? I can't hear you.
Name is on there. Then I gotta make sure when I have for that in March of
2014, you were right, but, you gotta remember during that time, I was not in place, coming with all of that, the changes with the suspension and all. And so by the time I got back in, we never had a chance to go back and get those resolutions. So you were on there and remained the same. So everything as of tonight, you're still on all of the accounts until such time as everything has been voted on and changed. So you should, with the account, with the check and everything else, you're still on there. As Ms. Coleman, I explained to you last week, you were still on this account. You're still on there as of tonight. But nevertheless,
that don't mean I gotta sign that. That don't mean I have to sign anything, that's got my name on it. I can't be forced to sign a check.
no one said you had to. Council?
I just have a problem with that. You say you don't want to sign no checks.
No, I said I ain't going to.
You say you're not gonna sign any checks. You don't want to be on no committee. What do you want to do by being on city council? I mean, that's the question I have, and I've been saying for the longest, for any city council.
Well, I had one talk with the guy down about signing the check. I should have signed
I mean, you're not even on the committee either.
Could we get back to the subject of the minutes? That's all we're supposed to be on, the minutes, please. Nothing else at this time?
Well, that was said, and that's the reason I said something.
I make a motion that we adopt the minutes for the May 4th meeting.
Second.
Council, you all have heard that the motion to accept the May 4th meeting has been a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed, so that motion carries.
If y'all mind turning on y'all's mics, they're not on down, Devin, please. Thank you. It does.
All right, now the mayor's notes. I have here that you all have not seen, and I'd like for you all to look at it. This is something clearly, would you pass that down? that was sent to me, and I've made contact with them, and you all could look at it and get in mind that this is something that I think would be very, very splendid for our youth here in the city, since we are working on getting some things at the park. We just don't want to go and just sit at the park, but have something for the children. So I will be in contact with them, just pass that on down, take a look at it. Thank you. And also, we have here, I have a letter from GMA talking about the election of the District 6 officers for 2015 through 2016. Have you all received a letter from Lamar Nelson, the Executive Director? Did you all receive that letter? Okay, so are y'all ready to go ahead and take a vote on that? And we've got to submit this in, the following city officials have been nominated. And they've been President Randall Walker, Councilmember Perry, First Vice President Dr. Kalinda Lee, Mayor Pro Tem of Milledgeville, Second Vice President Cameron Andrews, Councilmember Centerville, and Third Vice President Mayor Barbara Williams of Fort Valley, Georgia. And so, is our city in favor of the proposed slate of officers?
Sure.
Okay, I'll just go ahead and check. Are you all in favor? Can I take a vote?
Other ones that you are here.
Yes, they've already been slated as the officers. So everybody's in agreement, right? All right. So we'll check off and please provide everybody's in agreement. Are you, Mr. Britt?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Wynn?
Yeah.
All right, thank you. So we'll get that filled out, get that submitted. Also, Dr. Chatterjee, I don't know if you all remember, but he was here with the Biogon. Says, thank you for your continued interest to the mayor and council. He's wondering if we have made a decision to clean up our sewer lines from grease buildup by using Biogon. Said, I hope you had a chance to discuss it in your city council meeting. Please let me know if y'all are still interested. Are we interested, council?
I think we need to leave it up to Melvin to make that decision.
Council,
Also, you can buy it local,
where is that from?
Santec. It may not be the same brand, but it's the same
So
material.
you know all about that.
I know you can get it from him.
So is that something we need?
Not from him, especially.
Okay, but I do know that, for one thing for sure, I don't know about you all, but lately our water has been not running for the past few months. Look like consistently, we've been without water. So anybody can tell me what happened last week, Saturday morning? I didn't get a call, I called the,
Zach
do
called
y'all know
me.
anything?
Zach called me and asked me about it. I tried to hit him as much as I could.
What was it?
I don't really know, and he doesn't either, but they got it going back. He finally got it over to Melvin. I think Melvin was out of town. And they got it going back.
Because I knew Mr. Lawrence had been out a week prior to that on vacation, but I didn't know he was out last week. So I thought, well, with all of this going on, surely somebody needs to know what's going on with the water, because I know all of Westbrook and I think across on Gray Highway, we were all without water. Nobody had any knowledge.
Yeah, we had real low pressure, but Zach done, I think, a magnificent job of hanging in there and
So,
getting everything back up to order.
okay. And also, I'm sure you all received a letter from the Middle Georgia Regional Commission. This is regarding the plan implementation meeting, the PIMS. So I'd like for you all to consider, and for those of you veteran council members, y'all would know all about this. With the new ones, we'll ask that you get up to par. I'm going to be getting information with them and keep you informed as we move along on that. And so I have here, this is from Ms. Heather Hallmer. to mayor and council. It's a thank you. Thank you so much for the beautiful plant that was sent due to my dear grandmother's death. And we know her grandmother met her demise April 22nd in North Carolina. And they had memorial services this past weekend in Albany, Georgia. She just wants to thank the council for such a lovely flower in memory of her grandmother. So with that being said, we're going to move right along. We've got the bank account under old business, the bank account resolution, and Attorney Bowes has submitted this by fax about the account. And he says, with all of that, we know that with all the accounts except the Georgia Fund 1, that the new resolutions have been revised. It says, attaches the revised bank resolution. He said, I deleted the Georgia 1 fund since it is not a Morris bank account and will be handled with the Georgia 1 fund resolution. So I didn't have any questions regarding that, so that still stands, and I've spoken with Ms. Ballard about that, and we're going to update that. But are we ready to accept the resolution with the name on these accounts, the 17 that we have, council?
Did he take Mr. Smallwood and Mr. Breesaw and put me and Ms. Brown on every account?
That's left up to me.
Yes, sir.
That's left up to me with Georgia Fund 1 to direct all of that with them, and I'll handle it.
No, we voted on that too, the Georgia 1 fund, it was all part of it.
I
at one
understand
time.
that, but let's.
I know it's separate from the checking account, but it was all voted on at the same time.
I spoke with them again just this
I'm
past
sorry,
Friday.
I'm sorry,
Excuse
this
me,
council voted
council
on
member,
it.
that does not have anything to do
It
with it.
does.
Well, I'll
The
leave it
attorney's
there.
trying to say something, please.
No, I'm not entertaining the attorney.
Yeah, I make a motion that we recognize the attorney at this time.
This
I
is,
think we address
this
it,
is
we
not the
have a
fact,
motion and a
council,
second.
council.
I can make a motion if you're
You
not
can't make
gonna
a
take
motion,
care of business.
But I'm taking care of the business.
No,
I
you're
will
not.
say that this is strictly left up to the
No, it's
Georgia
not.
Fund 1 with me
No,
being the
no,
overseer of
no.
their account.
We have a motion and a second on the floor at this time.
Well, and I said that this was up for discussion. Now, I understand that we do, but you all need to know, I've spoken with Georgia Fund 1, and this is the way it operates. With me being the head, I don't have to include anyone. Okay? So unless I direct that, it'll stay as it is. So now you all are ready to make a motion or whatever, I just wanted to share that with you, and that'll be the end of that.
For clarification, last meeting, we made a motion, it's in the minutes that we just adopted,
And
to do the Georgia Fund
Councilman
1.
Eby, I understand, I hear what you're saying, but number one, prior 2014, as me being elected mayor, that was at my discretion. I allowed Mr. Nguyen to suggest you and Ms. Brown be added back to the bank account. That's clearly the mayor's discretion. So I chose to do that, but with the Georgia Fund 1, I clearly spoke to the Treasury head, and that does not have any bearing with the Council of Gore. Thank you.
When the council makes a motion and they approve it and 4 people vote for it, but this time there were 6 people voted for it, and the Georgia 1 fund was included in that.
Council, did you all have anything regarding discussion on that?
My understanding was that we voted for all of them but the Georgia 1 fund.
No,
I
it's-
understand.
the 1 fund is included in it too.
We voted for
That's
everything.
the only one that's the only one I thought we didn't vote for.
Y'all voted for it last time.
Councilman Whipple, did you have anything you need to say? So that is left up to that, and regardless of what council does not determine, this is regulated by the state of Georgia. So we'll have to move on with that.
No,
Now, we
I've
can
got a
accept-
motion and a second on the floor. We've either got to vote
It's
on
being,
it right now.
that is a motion and a second,
Yes,
but it's
ma'am.
being discussed. Councilman
Okay,
Eby.
fine, okay.
So I've stated the stance on that. You had the leeway to go ahead and be placed on the others. Now, I find it very hard in 2014, last year, that you did not want to be included on anything. And all of a sudden, you want to be on the Georgia Fund 1?
On everything. All means all.
And all means that you're not included with the Georgia One fund.
Okay.
Want to call the question?
Please, please,
You want to vote so I can speak?
please, go ahead. You got the floor.
I'm just going to provide you a copy of the resolution that Mr. Boone sent over. Those are all the accounts. This is the list as revised of the signatures, which is the resolution that I believe we're discussing, or were discussing prior to the Georgia One Fund.
Is this the same one that I have, May 7th,
Yes, ma'am.
with the exception of the Georgia One fund?
Original.
Okay.
This is the Georgia One Fund, and the mayor did express her concern about Mr. Edie being on that account. However, Mayor, respectfully, I disagree with your interpretation or the
It's not my interpretation, it's what the Georgia State
Secretary of
Treasury,
State, Treasurer.
yes, states.
What the resolution states, Mayor, is that you are unauthorized to sign on the account, and therefore you have privileges to withdraw money or transfer funds after it has been approved by this council.
No, that's not what they shared with me.
Well, they were incorrect, they said something.
And could I have a resolution, please? Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. And as far as the resolution goes, this council is correct when it states that that was voted on in the last meeting and that the signatures were to be changed on that account as well to include Mr. Edie.
And I'd like to first of all say that with looking at this, this is incorrect. I do not have, this is not my email address, as I don't have one since my previous account was hacked, the computer was hacked into, so I no longer have this. This is incorrect, so we cannot accept this tonight.
Can you state for the record what your city email addresses are? ma'am?
I don't have one,
You do not have a city email address?
not with the city. No,
You have to have a city email address.
I don't have one.
Did this council vote to
The council
close
didn't have
your
to
email
vote.
address?
Since my computer was hacked in 2014, I do have one, but the computer's not connected. I've not had anyone I've asked who do they use to connect the computers, and I've not gotten that information. I said, provide me with the information, and I've not gotten it. I don't get any support or help, so I just have not been using, I've been using Ms. Hallberg's computer if needed, and she receives the email, but not with the city. Thank you.
We have provided her with that information, we told her her email address, we
No.
offered to get the internet provider in here.
No, I was
That has
never.
been sitting there nearly a year unused, a fax machine, a brand new computer, and a computer.
I have
And it's
never-
all at your access, you have not allowed us to get anybody in here to set them up.
I don't even know, this has not been explained, this is the first that I get
You
of
have
this
known
tonight,
that since
today.
you've come in this
Thank
office, your
you.
email address and everything.
No,
Yes, ma'am.
no, it's not, I have to say, me being the CEO, I ought to know. And I don't have it.
Well, be that as it may, the council will have to make a decision whether they're going to approve this resolution with that email address or not.
Okay. Regardless of the email address, I'd still like to point out on page 11 of the minutes that we just approved, if everyone would please turn to page 11, look down at the bottom of the page, third paragraph up. This is what it basically said when we was discussing. Mayor said, okay, but we've got to, until such time as something is brought forth, then we'll do that. Now with the number 15, which is the Georgia Fund 1, we're going to add Edie on that one too. Number 15 on page 3, number 14 and 15.
What page are you on?
On page 11 of our
Which one
current
it said
minutes that
that?
we just approved and passed.
Mayor said, what we, something is brought before, so then we'll do that, do what?
Read
Explain.
on through for the
Now
next
with the
3 or
number
4
15,
sentences.
which is the Georgia, we're going to add Edie to that one too. Let's look at what 15, because that may not be the one that I have as 15. I've got several, and even so, I can always, amend this to change it. So if you all go with this, that's at my discretion is what I was told.
No, I'm sorry, it's not at your discretion. When this council votes on something, a motion passes, you cannot override a motion at this table.
Councilman Edie, I just found that out again Friday past so that I could be on top of this again because I felt like with all of that being said, and I was directed again once more, I am in charge of the Georgia One Fund account. You know, last time when you tried to close this account with Councilman Terry Reese with that $5,999, which he never signed a check and did not know where the money was going. So all of a sudden you want to get on that account? I don't think so.
Mayor, once again, you cannot back up on the minutes.
I'm
We've
not
already
backing up.
approved them, and we've already accepted it in the minutes, and it was
Council,
approved.
you all, it's up to you all, what you all want to do.
It's not
I'm just-
left up, we've already voted on it.
You may have voted on that, but that's not the way Georgia Fund won. And if you want to, we can table this until I get further
Can't table, it's
clarification.
already been passed.
No, it is not.
Yes, ma'am.
No, because it's up for discussion. So let me say this, now you need to, and I know that previously, I believe back in, when you tried to call the Georgia One Fund, y'all's office, Boone, Scott and Boone, and because your name was not on there, did you have access to Georgia, to the state treasurer to get on that, to get a copy of the, that for your record?
They advised us that you needed to agree that Joe Boone was in fact the city attorney, which
No,
my
that may
understanding
be part of it, but
Yeah,
the mere fact of the matter was that may have been that, but was he authorized? And was his signature on the account? No, it was not.
is, his signature wouldn't be on there.
Right, that's what they asked me. So unless your signature is on there, you have no, there's no, no access.
Which is what I was just explaining, but whose signature is on the account is not determined by the Secretary of State's office, it's determined by. the-
Secretary of State has nothing to do with that.
Exactly, it's this council that decides. And if you're a signer on the account, then you do have access to it, and you have rights and authority on the
Well,
account.
why don't we just find out from them tomorrow?
Well, I already know their stance on it, I've talked to them.
No, apparently you don't.
Well, I know the law is that this
And
council
we're discussing, okay, we're discussing
Okay, and
this.
this council-
Let's discuss it logically.
has a Georgia Fund One resolution.
And why is it so necessary to get on the account now?
Well,
We've
Mayor,
got one councilman that doesn't want to be on there, so I tried to appease you all of them last year. This year, all of a sudden, they want to be on the account. Why?
Well, with all due respect, ma'am, I think there's still a transfer of funds that hasn't been dealt with to the tune of $150,000 that was improperly handled.
No, that was not improperly handled. And for you to say, what was it that was improper? All the money was done was transferred to the Mars Bank.
To transfer
do
money,
what?
to transfer money, this council
I have the authority
has
as the
to
mayor.
vote to transfer it and give a resolution to that effect, which every previous
That
time.
is not what they said to me. They gave me the necessary stipulations to do that.
Well,
Mayor, you got the authority if the council approves it.
That's correct.
No, that is
Yes,
not
ma'am.
true.
council
Mr. Wayne,
has to
you
approve
just got
anything.
here, and I'm sure you know
I
what the
may
mayor was.
have just got here, but I'm not a dumbass.
You did not know that? You're not a what?
Dummy.
I thought I heard something else. We will maintain integrity in this meeting.
I wish we would.
Thank you. Council, it's up to you. What was that, Ms. Whipple?
I just was saying something to him, I was telling him, I don't think, Georgia One Fund would have let you gotten the money if you could not.
They shouldn't have.
Well, that's their law though. So they had to, she had to be within the law for them to even give her the money.
As a matter of fact, the State Attorney General's office was I was contacted from the State Attorney General's office and questioned, and I said, yes, I was given authority. So with it being stipulated in the newspaper that the mayor had stolen $150,000, well, the mayor transferred the money into the account of Mars Bank, and it's still there until such time, and I had to follow protocol with the State Treasury Department.
I don't think anyone accused you of stealing it.
Oh, yes, it was.
No,
It was in the newspaper.
no,
Stated in the Wilkes County Post, you need to go back and
not
read
that
it.
you stole it.
Yes,
It was
yes,
just
it was.
illegal what you did,
No, what was illegal about it?
taking it out without approval from the council.
I don't have to have council's
Yes, you do.
approval.
You gotta have any approval from the council to do anything.
And we will not have, council, if you all take we're discussing this with council and not the, audience. So how will we continue to proceed with this? Are we going to allow them to continue to talk out of order? Council?
I think we have our police chief in place tonight, and he can't handle that. Any talking out, inappropriate. We are trying to do business.
For the sake of time, I make a motion that we adopt the ordinances for the all Gordon Bank, and we just forget about the Georgia Fund 1 at this time.
I second the motion.
Motion has been made in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Our next order of business would be the Lowe's account. And the problem we have, you all council, as you all know, that the check, the gentleman came and Councilman Edie, you were there with him, as well as, Mr. Mixon, Roy Mixon, and, the clerk and myself, when he came with the check, with the, agreement for the Lowe's account, which is to install 331 linear feet of Providence heavy-duty 4-inch decorative aluminum fence at City Cemetery, and install 3 double-arch gates, Providence 2 12-inch and 1 8-inch, installed in 4x4 heavy-duty posts. So we have the check, the clerk has a check that is waiting to be signed by the council members whose signatures are on the account. So we've got council. Clerk, would you rather elaborate on that?
Sure. Mr. Small has been told us he is not signing anymore. He's on there in his tolls, and we could not reach her today that the gentleman was in town to pick up the check. Nobody told us that he had to be paid in advance. We did not know that until he walked in the building. And then we couldn't get anybody to sign the check, so he has not been paid.
Well, and Mr. Smallwood can sit down there and refuse to sign a check, so can I.
Nobody will sign it, so that's where we are. So
Because his name on there just like mine on there.
So if
And I'm
we-
not gonna do all the signing when we all on there together.
Well, we can get it done after we get the signature cards changed to the bank, hopefully this week. Because I know I don't mind signing, I'm sure Mr. E would be glad to sign it. But it's just a matter of getting all the paperwork done to the bank now. Be glad to sign it.
I offer a motion then, that after we get the new signature cards, then we can, go ahead and sign those, account.
Motion has been made. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it. Any opposed? Next, we have insurance. At the last meeting, we know that, Attorney Bowden was given, the go-ahead to check into the official liability and the legal law liability. So what's the status of that?
Well, Mayor, the prospect of getting insurance is difficult at best. The question is what the city needs, our understanding is we certainly need immediately public officials and law enforcement liability. Whether you're gonna need an entire quote for the entire, city that you went through, basically like you went through last year for everything is another question. But with the public officials and law enforcement liability alone, there are issues when you go to talk about, could you please insure the city for that? And the insurance companies have viewed YouTube videos and news reports about the public officials and law enforcement not seeing eye to eye.
And just because we don't see eye to eye and they refuse to cover you?
Well, ma'am, if you've got,
I mean,
you got the
you
city
gotta know
officials
all of this.
arguing with the law enforcement, you want public official liability and law enforcement liability.
But what?
Any insurance company who's insuring those liabilities are going to take a moment to decide they're gonna have to seriously consider whether they want to insure over that or not.
Right, and I was looking at that, and reading about that, with all of that, but see, prior to my coming in 2014, all of these lawsuits were prior to before, I would say in layman's term, transpired before my becoming mayor. The only one that came under the tenure, during the administration of 2014 was the EEOC lawsuits. So just that alone, not taking into consideration that now prior to all of this, with the erupting with the disruption of the citizens, now mind you, that should have had bearing. I think that's what you're talking about, am I right?
No, ma'am. The insurance companies do their homework very well, and they're on top of current events. And what's
Based
going
on, and I hear what you're saying, but based on that, I was told different.
Well, I'm speaking specifically of a report that was recently in the media between the mayor and a law enforcement officer. That's difficult to get law enforcement liability and public official liability when you have media like that out there and that kind of attention on the city. You've got to show that you can work together and everybody can, function as a cohesive unit in order for someone to ensure that entity.
And understandably, you're correct. But when you've got the citizens out of order and no control, then that has to be taken in consideration, that where is it all stemming from?
I can't speak to
And
that,
caused
Mayor,
by
right
whom?
now.
And so that's something, and I'm glad you brought that up, because that's something now maybe they will take in consideration, that based on their actions, that this is a problem. And so with all of this that's being said, then Gordon doesn't need to have this reputation. I'm sure prior to my coming in, and I've come to every council meeting that I attended previously, attorney, Mayor Turner never, ever experienced any of this because he had control. None of them came and spoke out and disrespected him and did to him what they're doing here, these council meetings. I assure you. Thank you. Now
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Have y'all checked?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you give me the names of some of the companies you checked with?
I can, but I think they would prefer that I do it not in a public forum. I can get.
I mean, why? It's for
This
the,
is public.
it's for the city.
Well, if we're going to continue to ask these people to insure us, I'm not sure they want to
I mean, let it be known.
Open the record.
let it be known that
Let it
they're
be
even
known.
considering doing this at this
I
point.
mean, I might have got insurance with them, and if they don't wanna, they don't wanna do it with the city, I might wanna cancel mine with them.
I'll have to get you a list.
This is open
Okay.
record.
Correct. That's why I'll have to get you a list.
All right, no further. We'll move on to the new business. We have Mr. David Ewing with ADP. Please.
I'd like to keep this kind of short and sweet. I'm just gonna hand this to everybody. Is anybody familiar with ADP up here? No. Automatic data processing. We handle back office solutions for companies. Payroll, tax filing, insurance services.
We got it.
Y'all have, need a few more?
We got it.
What I'd rather do, if we can, is schedule an executive meeting. Is that possible?
No, sir.
No,
No?
You can't do that.
Excuse me.
Y'all have a good one. Thanks.
Thank you.
We have Auditor Malden here. Could you come down and elaborate, please, about automatic data processing?
My name's Miller Edwards, and the mayor asked me to come here to see if you all had any questions relative to the outsourcing of payroll. I think outsourcing of payroll makes sense in a lot of governments. It makes sense in business. Payroll takes a lot of time by people and interrupts a lot of the qualitative element of their work when they have to run payroll often and deal with all the quarterly reports and all those kind of things. It's a task. Now, I know you've got people who have been doing it for years. I'm sure they've gotten good at it. but it is one of those kind of things that when it comes to bang for buck, most of my clients, and we serve about 300 governments, very much, I'd say at least 90% of them outsource their payroll. And we're talking governments that are small, like the town of Whitesburg or somebody like that, all the way to Gwinnett County. And again, a lot of businesses out there do. I mean, there are businesses out there that might only have 2 people employed, and they still use an outsourced party like an ADP. I'm not here to support ADP, but it is a very cost beneficial product or service. It also helps with controls, and I cannot help but sit here tonight, this evening, and sense, might be the word, a lack of trust, a lack of respect, and concern over controls. And I think when you've got a community that has a small office of people who those people are doing accounting, they're doing human resources, they're doing all kind of other admin duties, they're cutting checks. When you do that, the trick is to try to find a way to have cost beneficial, good internal controls. An ADP type party, an outsourced party, does provide a certain element of controls involved in doing this. I know there's concerns about the direct depositing and giving up bank account information and all that. Lord, we had the same thing at Malden Jenkins 15 years ago. We went to direct deposit our payroll. I'd have to say, I was a little suspicious. I mean, I'm about to give people information I don't even know. Well, things have changed in this world we live in. And I can tell you, as an employee of Malden Jenkins, it is incredibly convenient to not have to go grab my check, stand in line, and make a deposit. Especially if I'm out of town or running around somewhere it's not that convenient. So from that standpoint, I can see it being a good thing. But of course, there's all kinds of ways to skin the cat. A lot of these outsourced parties, they don't have to use direct deposit. They can even do things like process your payroll and issue checks. The check would say City of Gordon with maybe a little logo of like ADP or whoever the outsourced party is would be on there. They'd be the ones actually cutting the checks. By them cutting the checks, we now have another party involved in helping establish controls. And that's just something to think about, is trying to find ways that are cost beneficial enhancements of controls. And a small community, a small government, and you all are that becomes difficult to do sometimes. It's real hard. As an auditor, we can write up management points and findings all the time and talk about how you can do better with internal controls, but sometimes it's not cost beneficial. You can't all of a sudden take a community this size and say, well, we want to have your office have 7 people now. 7 people so you can have the perfect internal control structure. But what you can do is try to engineer what you do and how you do it to do your best to promote good, sound, safekeeping, and controls. And I do think outsourcing payroll is one step in being able to do that, along with many other things. I mean, tonight I've heard y'all talk about who's on the bank accounts. I've got no problem with it being a person on the city council. I do have a problem with someone being able to write checks who also has all the administrative and accounting input as you have here with your short staff of people. But for anybody to be able to do debits and credits to the system and all the funds and move things around like that and still be the one that can cut checks and sign them, that's a red flag in the world of auditing and looking at internal controls. You'd like to have somebody doing the accounting and then someone else writing the check and someone else signing the check. But we don't necessarily have that here. The movement of funds that I heard earlier tonight, movement of funds is not required by a resolution with Georgia Fund 1. None of my clients go through a resolution to do that. The resolution is how you spend the monies ultimately. All governments, cities, counties, water authorities, whatever it might be, most of them in Georgia have a Georgia Fund 1 account. It's a great place to park money for a short period of time or even a long period of time based on rates and the convenience factor of getting that money. People wire money from Georgia Fund 1 to their operating account all the time. The controls, and remember we had this discussion back in February when you were all talking about the budget. The control is how that money is ultimately spent. And that's where the budget is important. Because the budget is your legal level of control of how it's ultimately spent. moving it from one bank account to another in the name of trying to put it in the right place so the checks can be issued. I've never had anyone have to go to city council to have moving the money from Georgia Fund 1.
We've always done it.
And that may be one of those things, that's what, if we've always done it that way, I respect that. But I'm just telling you, it's not required to do it that way. The best thing to do
If
is
it's not in the budget, let me explain one thing to you, Reed, and I say that. If it's not listed in our budget, when we begin our budget in October, if we do not have any money to be transferred out of the One Georgia Fund as our money to help cover the budget, nobody can change that budget except this council, including any funds that are moved.
okay. And what I'm
That's
trying
our
to tell,
charge.
and what I'm trying to tell you is, in the world of generally accepted accounting principles and the idea of budgets, what you all do is not customary with the way other communities do these things. And Georgia,
Past practice, we've already done it, okay?
I understand. I said I respect what you're talking about, but I'm trying to explain to you that
We
money.
didn't ask for that explanation, we asked for you to just talk about this one,
Well, I was talking about it in the name of control.
but you know you're going past that.
Okay, I have gone past it.
Yes.
You are right.
I would
But
rather
again,
you
don't-
stick just for this one subject, please.
On this one subject, I think would enhance internal controls, that you did consider going outsourced for this type of operation.
Sir, yes, sir. The only thing about this now is we can't do it in the middle of the year, see? We have got it budgeted. There's nothing in our budget. We did not plan for anything such as this. The time to do this is, you know, the upcoming year.
I respect that.
That's fine, and
And you can always look at things at any interim point in time and consider doing an amendment.
Certainly
If it's not appropriate, it's not appropriate.
Sir, yes, sir.
But I do think, getting back to your question, I'm all about internal controls. You know, as an auditor, that's what I live and breathe, is looking at internal controls. And I do think outsourcing payroll in light of the short staffing that we have in a community of this size, which I would expect to be short staffed in that
Sir,
respect.
sir.
I would think you try to do anything you can to outsource certain things to help enhance your controls.
Sir, I agree with that.
So that's where I'm coming from. Who you use, not my call. I'm just here to share and shed light on the concept.
Sir, sir. There's a proper time and place for all of it, you know. Plan it at the end of the year as we go into the new year.
I respect that.
Sir.
And to add to what you're saying, it doesn't matter, as you say with AUDT, they are world renowned, if I'm not mistaken, and I believe, he shared that with me, that the previous bank, and I may be talking, you know, because, you know, I guess he felt the need, but, with Mars Bank, they are now, I don't know who they're using, but they outsource theirs.
A lot of places do.
The bank here in Gordon,
Like I
direct
said, it's a
deposit.
win-win in most cases. It helps
Exactly.
promote controls and it is cost-effective and efficient to do.
I know we can say with state government that that's the way we had, ultimately, they educated us, they trained us, and like years ago, we were a bit apprehensive
Sure.
as to accepting it, but they
As was I.
assured us that if we didn't, I mean, they gave us the ultimatum that eventually you're gonna have to, or either you get a card. So with this being said, as an administrative decision, this is something we want, is the control and trust and the integrity, which goes
I
along with
think it would
this.
be a good thing in that respect. I think most people involved would appreciate what's being presented to them.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Is Mr. Mark Hardison available? Next, we'll move on to the Wilkinson County School Nutrition Program. And I don't know, council, if you all have this letter, have received it from the new school nutrition director, Ms. Judy Brown. And it says the Wilkinson County School System is looking to expand the summer feeding program in an effort to reach more children in our community, to see that they receive at least one nutritious meal a day. We are reaching out to the communities to see if you are interested in participating in the program by providing a site in your town. A site can be established at City Hall, churches, recreation departments, and even a parking lot. The Board of Education would deliver the meals to the site. The city would need to provide coolers and volunteers to serve and maintain a count of the meals at each site. Training for the program would be conducted by nutrition staff at a date to be determined later. This would involve half a day at the Wilkins County Board of Education. So we need to be notified in writing by May 22nd. If you're interested or not interested in participating in this program. We appreciate your attention and cooperation in this matter. We look forward to hearing from you. So if we have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me. Sincerely, Judy Brown, Director. So council, I think, and you know, I would hope that you all are on board, that we support this. Are you in agreement? Because it's something needed for the community. And I do know that Arlington is already on board, and I think others. So this is not a charge to the city.
So where will we get the volunteers? Just get some.
If we go ahead with this, I'd like to appoint you and Councilwoman, I don't want to exclude any men,
We've never, we don't participate.
but we're going to participate. And so, what I'd like to do is appoint, if you all don't mind.
Administration.
Yes, this is administrative decision, so I'd like to appoint you and Councilwoman Toles, and y'all work it out. Just give us some feedback, please. Thank you. All right, next we have on the agenda the park. Councilwoman Whipple.
At the last council meeting, I had some representatives from the Better Hometown to come up to me with the problem that they was having. And I don't think I see either one of them here tonight. Well, you here? Oh, Bruce is here?
And
Okay,
why?
Bruce, okay. But it wasn't Bruce, but they brought this to my attention. And this happened with the Lee Park. I was told that someone had a wreck and tore up some of the things at Lee Park, and the person that was responsible for the wreck, their insurance had paid.
Excuse me?
That their insurance had paid the
Who was the
city.
individual, do you know?
I don't know who the
And when did
individual
this
that had
happen?
the wreck.
What was it, a long time ago, last year, year before?
Probably about a year ago.
It was a little over a year ago.
I don't
And,
know anything about it.
Okay, well, they came to me after the last council meeting, and they stated that they had came to City Hall to inquire about the money because they wanted to get everything fixed that was torn up, and that the person insurance had already paid, and they wanted to know when could they get it fixed and everything, and that they was told that the money went into the general fund. And so when the money went into the general fund, but then they're wondering, well, if our money went into the general fund, why can't we get our money out of the general fund so that we can get our parts in the park fixed?
Look, I'd like to
And
get
so
that.
they was told that they had to ask Mr. Edie about it. They talked to Mr. Edie. Mr. Edie sent them back to City Hall. So if a check had already been written to pay for the damage that was done to the park, I would like to make a motion that this council would go ahead and issue them a check for the amount of money that they need to correct that damage.
Well,
Before you make a motion, may I explain what happened?
please
Okay.
bring me up to date. Was
The
it
part that she's
$5,000?
talking about is the triangle in the three triangle section right out here. A car ran into it, they broke the fire hydrant down and broke that pole.
I mean, you know, where's the report? I never.
The police got it and the
I'd like to
insurance
see it.
has been paid. Nothing can be done in that area to restore any of the flowers until that fire hydrant is replaced. Melvin and his crew cannot do it. They got to get someone in to dig down in the ground, replace that fire hydrant. Now, we just had an estimate on it, you know, at the time for the fire hydrant and to replace some of the shrubs. until that fire hydrant gets replaced, there's no, there's no reason to do anything there because it's got to be dug up completely to get it down in the ground to put a new fire hydrant in. I explained every bit of that to Miss Arlene Lamb, that's who talked with me. And I explained exactly what I just said to her, and she was well satisfied with the answer that she got from me at that time.
Okay, they might have been at that time, but this was after the council meeting, last time. And I guess, if it been that long, I guess they figured by now it should have been taken care of.
If Mr. Lawrence was here, he would have to answer that. I don't have the answer to the replacement of the fire hydrant, I don't.
Now, let me ask you this, was what month of last year did this?
I could not
do
tell you.
remember?
Because
I'd like to get a report of
first
that.
of all, I didn't know anything about this. They brought it to me.
This is my first.
And y'all are saying that it did happen. You're not denying it.
No.
And so, if they're ready for their check to be cut so they can go ahead and replace it.
Exactly.
You can't cut
They
checks
can't
without
re-
invoices.
And they can't
It's
replace
illegal.
anything till
So what
hydrant's
they need-
replaced.
what-
They can't do anything.
Yeah,
till
but
they
it's
have them.
over you.
If the fire
But you
hydrants
still
cost
gotta
more.
replace the hydrant first, because you go in there and you put the.
Okay, well then, we need to go ahead on that.
Councilwoman,
I mean,
let me,
that's-
since we're discussing this, let me ask, first of all, there's protocol for everything. And I hear this has got to be done first. But first and foremost, if there was an accident, apparently it happened while I was not under my watch. Because if it was, then I was not apprised of it.
I think Mayor Turner may have been here when that happened. It's been a while, but we've had so many problems, they haven't been able to get to that. It's not that they don't want to, they haven't been able to. We're gonna have to get a private contractor to come in and replace those fire hydrants. And Melvin was trying to wait till we had several at one time so it would cut down on the cost.
Is Mr.
This
Lawrence
has been
here?
going on for quite a while.
Oh, come up, Mr. Lawrence, please, and tell us about this. I would, please.
I remember them wanting me to get prices.
When did this happen?
It's been over a year, I have no idea.
2014, 15, 13?
It would be in the police report, the date, I don't know. But, and I got, a price at that time.
How much was that?
I would have to go, cause it would have to be Georgia hydrants, that's who we mainly wind up.
I mean, roughly a figure, I have no clue what
It was several $1,000s. It was over 2,000, and that was in.
so the guy's insurance is gonna pay for it all.
They've already had this reimbursement
They're already
check,
paid.
but you
The
can't,
insurance check.
you can't just write that check out and give it back to Better Hometown, because that's still city property. That is city property over there. And when the insurance check comes in, it goes back into the general fund, and we cannot pay out anything without an invoice.
So in other words, Better Hometown didn't have a
It's-
separate account?
They don't own that property. I mean, they may maintain it, but it belongs to the city of Gordon.
And I hear what you're
See,
saying,
and
but
it's the city of Gordon's money, it's bank account that it went back into. And we cannot pay anything until they've done the work and get the invoices. We cannot just go write Better Hometown a check for $5,000 because they want it.
But do they have their own account, separate account, or?
This
or they
budget
in
is just
with-
like the rest of the city.
Within the
It's in
city?
your city budget that you approved in here. Yeah.
Okay,
Better
so they don't,
Hometown has
what
a
I'm trying,
budget.
I understand that, but
Just
they
like
have their
water,
separate
sewage.
account? They don't have
I
their,
don't know if they have, I guess they may have a separate account under something else, but not for city monies. They may have something for what they raise on the side.
well,
But
y'all,
that check
help
has
us
to come back to
understand,
the
because
city
I
of
don't
Gordon,
know.
because that is city property.
Okay. All right, well, now, so until we, get some more information, we can't really take a vote on this, except,
That's fine, but they brought it to me. I brought it to council.
oh, yes, it's going to be
And-
dealt with. I mean,
and,
we're going to resolve it, but I just want,
Superintendent Lawrence did say that you had given them a bid.
To the best of my recollection, I had given them one from, I think it's Mid-Georgia Hydrants. But I have to look in my file to see. But as long as that's been, I probably need to get another one and, get some more.
But then to come and say something to me, they
it's present.
Yes,
is
ma'am.
still present with them.
Okay.
And so the thing of it is my understanding is, we're gonna be consistent. I don't know anything about the hydrants or such, but, you know, normally the standard, I think now says, we've not said that we've adopted it, but I'd like for you to get 3 bids
Yes,
and
ma'am.
present those to us.
Okay.
Thank you. So with that being said, we'll, till we get further clarity on this and get the report, then we'll be able to move and get them taken care of, okay?
This is leading into Fort Benning. On the base. Many active duty soldiers are now stationed here.
Next, we'll move on to the committee reports. Now we have, Mr. Daniel. Would you please come down and
Yes, ma'am. And Carrie, thank you very much, because I didn't know what had took place. All I know is Arlene, our economic director, wanted to replace some shrubbery up there that's been damaged, and supposedly the insurance paid for it. And I didn't know if I had been damaged or whatever. Wasn't aware of that either. So, but when it gets fixed, then we'll replace the shrubbery up there. So it's just we'll do that. And the only other thing we got coming up is at the depot over there, our, excuse me just 1 second, it's our Heritage Trail marker. We're working with Mr. Long coming in and getting the post planted. They're working with the state of Georgia to come in and be sure there's nothing underground before they drill anything over there. That will be took care of. As soon as we get that information, we're going to give it to all the city council to hopefully be there when this event does take place. The only other issue that we're working on, we've always worked on, is litter and blight in our community. On Highway 18, it's like a litter zone up there.
Thank you.
I thought they just didn't like Mr. Grady, but I think it's all of us.
No, it's not only, it's,
We've been to Forsyth, and we see how Forsyth operates within their city, how they keep the downtown going, and honestly, it involves encouraging people to take responsibility for their own property. And in Forsyth, if people don't take responsibility for their own property, they are accessed to an additional tax amount to cover that. They call it a blight tax. And when people get a blight tax, they're more inclined to clean up than not clean up. And that's how Forsyth handles their issues. I'm not saying that's a good idea for us. I'm just saying we have a lot of blight downtown. We have a lot of people who need to take responsibility, because litter is everywhere. We've got some poor volunteers that come down every Thursday, and if trees need watering, that's what we do. We water to keep them alive and pick the litter up. And so if anybody wants to join us on Thursday at 5:30, work for a couple hours digging and cleaning up. But litter control and getting the community involved is difficult. We're going to work with Keep America Beautiful this year. And they encourage individual responsibility. Somehow you got to give that responsibility to people who want to take it and keep your community clean. And that's a difficult job. But that's what we're doing right now.
thank you so much. And follow up on that report about the, excuse me just a second, about the skateboard park or trail or whatever. Have you done any further work on that or trying to?
No, I wanted
I
to-
read the.
Yeah,
the report.
we had the grant, and of course, we wanted the city to look at it and how it would apply. Because, I don't know how the liability insurance would work with something like that.
That's once more again,
Yeah.
that's exact depriving
Yeah, if,
citizens.
it had to be on city property somewhere, and if it's like the park out there, the walking park, you couldn't maintain, I mean, you couldn't have people out there all the time watching.
Right.
And we have
That's why we're
enough,
gonna get the surveillance cameras. I mean, I've already spoken, that's already been taken care of, I've just got to get the individual in to get security and all of that in place. So
Yeah.
thank you, and we're looking forward to, you getting that spearheaded, and along with that, and I know Mr. Densley came in, and I'm gonna give you an opportunity to go ahead and speak, with what you discussed, so.
Well, it's the same subject that Mr. Daniel was on. I had private citizens, small business owners to talk to me. In fact, one day I was cutting grass around Tony Powell's printing, and the guy that just bought Bumper to Bumper, he came out and said, "Do you keep up all these buildings and things around here?" I said, "No, the property owner is responsible for that." And he said, "It's a shame the way the blight is downtown." He said, I've been here 30 days, I didn't know it had changed. And he said, it's just awful. He said, "Can't y'all do nothing about it?" I said, "Well, I will take it to council." I said, "We ought to do something about it. I mean, it looks terrible downtown. Anybody ride through town and look and see how it looks, they wouldn't want to look at you." So
I've said that in my earlier stand. Thank you.
He said that building right behind the Bumper to Bumper, said the guy done moved out here now. He said he left all that trash and the weeds done rolled up and covered the trash. All the buildings around need something done about it, need cleaned it up. That old building that the back have fallen out of it, if somebody would been parked there, they'd have had a squashed car, or somebody walking along there, they'd have been dead.
And what?
I asked Mr. Daniel whether it's still a grant, matching grant or whatever it used to be, enforced that could offer the citizens the much. I went by Mr. Daniel's house and talked to him, so he just about covered it already. So you have anything to add to that?
it's just a work in progress, and, I mean, if a person will not take care of the property, I guess you can put measures in place to make them take care of it, but, you know,
What about?
that's gonna involve our friends right here.
I heard you say,
Yeah.
you asked a question about the matching grants or whatever, is that
Yeah.
anything?
We, we do usually in June a facade grant program. And a facade, to work on the front of a building, to make it, and we offer up to a $2,000, a matching grant. In other words, if someone would spend $2,000 or $4,000 on that building, to our specifications now, it has to be to our specifications, and they spend forward, then we would reimburse them $2,000 if they do the facade grant. If they put $1,000 into it, we would match by $500, 50% grant. But they have to stay within the regulations of what our historical people have approved in the past, and they have to do basically contract work. It cannot be done in-house with a person like that. It has to be contracted out. And so we do have that, and we have that in place, and we have talked to a few people about that.
All right. Well, thank you, and so get with it, work that out, and so you work on that, since you brought it up, to make sure.
I think council ought to meet and talk about it first and decide what would be the best thing to do.
We can,
Yeah, I would, be willing to work on it.
yeah, and like I said, we go through the DCA, and they are the ones that have put the site.
Department of Community Affairs.
Yeah, into place. And we can readily get a copy of what Forsyth done, something like that.
And not, exactly, not, as a matter of fact, down in South Georgia, I'd like if council would sometime just take a ride. Go to Fitzgerald and places like that, down south, what is it, Mayor?
Next, Georgia.
Okay, but we're talking to council at the moment. we'll have a town hall meeting, you'll be able to do that. Kings, certain Kingsland, Georgia. So we want to model these things, and, I mean, it's just beautiful. Even looking at Valdosta, that's a beautiful, for us to model that. Matter of fact, we were just down in Perry, Georgia, at a training, and it's just beautiful how they've got that city laid out. And we need to take pride in our town. As you say, you all, I agree, it's very blighted, and I stated that in my stance. It's sad to go elsewhere and come back home and everything is dilapidated.
Yeah.
So I'm with you all. I support you. Thank you so much. Next, we'll move on to
Can I
fire
say something, please?
Did I miss something?
with Better Hometown.
Yeah,
As a better.
I just wanted to add to that. As far as the facade grant, that's one thing, and the building owners have to agree to do that. But what he's talking about is cleaning up some of the buildings down there that we can't get the owners to do anything about. And we actually y'all actually have in your,
Do we have an ordinance or something for that?
to take care of
I'd
that.
like to
Yes.
get that copy and we take a look at that, as you say, as council.
Okay.
And we
Thank
all
you.
agree to look at that and work on that, because I'm with you all. We're gonna get this done, and so you all, we work, this is one time we all can work collaboratively together. And, I'm really excited about you all taking an interest. Thank you so much.
Man, this had been a minute, a couple of years ago, and we got started, but then it got stopped, So it's,
Okay, well, then maybe it needs revising and rebirthing,
I think it just needs
implementing.
enforcing.
Okay, all right,
Mayor,
go ahead.
could you ask, Councilman Dean if you want to take over sanitation, because you don't have anybody that's, on sanitation.
That would be a good, being there, I think that would fall under sanitation too, so would you be willing to take over that? I mean, as a councilman, we just don't want to be lame duck. I'm not calling you a lame duck, but, we want to be, this is what we've agreed to, oath that we've taken, that we vow to be in the best interest and concern of our constituents. So I think that'd be a good,
Whatever I can do to help the problem, that's what I want.
well, I'm gonna add sanitation back, thank you. So with that being said, Councilman Danzer, thank you so much. Now we'll hear from fire.
Everything's going well with the fire department right now.
Okay. Police,
Nothing has been reported to me.
okay. Streets,
But it's been said that the city do need cleaning, and to all the citizens here, let's just try to do what we can to help keep our street and our city clean. And, since Superintendent, Lawrence is here, Superintendent Lawrence, is you able to get, anyone out on the streets to just check that? To make sure that the city is clean?
Check to see.
If the city is clean, like paper needs to be picked up or something,
We
especially the downtown area.
We do that every day. Mind you, I just have 3 more people besides myself. So we in the process of hiring a dispatcher and another full-time officer. Where we're in dire straits as far as the public works department. There's only so much that we can do. We got to work on the water today, work on picking up limbs tomorrow, pick up, you can't do it all.
Okay, I thought you had 4 people plus yourself.
Yes,
So it is 4 plus you?
right.
Okay. Well, maybe what a good suggestion would be just to take a ride, because I was of the mindset, even this morning, just going up Westbrook and coming around, when I saw the officers leaving, I mean, before you could even get to the end of the road over there, around, what is that, crossing over 18 to DC Harding, right in there, it just looks like a dump. And bless, Mr. Gibson, that is hard, I've seen him all up and down the street in, I believe it's Austin,
Yes.
These people are just look like they didn't, I don't know if
And by
it's,
the time we pick up one area
Area.
and try to work our way through, by the time we get through that side, we have to start all over, and I can't devote all our time to just that. You know, it's hard.
I mean, we really need to have some kind of controlling, not saying that they're not doing a job, but somebody's out there just look like dumping everywhere.
It's not dumping. The majority of it comes from the bed of pickup trucks. People don't think about it, but
Is that
they
right?
drive pickup trucks. They take, you could be parked somewhere, somebody may walk by, throw a paper towel in it, may throw a cup in it, and you not know either the owner just throws stuff in the back of the truck without securing it down, and you go down the road when you get 45, 50 miles an hour, it's up, it's going out of the truck. And that's where probably 70% of the trash on the side of the road comes from, along with the some of the garbage trucks. I ain't talking about the city garbage trucks, but the county garbage trucks that comes in and hauls the dumpsters. I've stopped them a couple of times when trash is blowing all the way out, especially if they had one of the community service workers pick up street out on Pine Street, clean it up, and it just looked like a mess after
Right,
that.
right. Well, we just thank you so much for sharing that information, because I, didn't know, but we just want to be,
We definitely need to, if we had to put in the budget next year for the public works department, to get at least 2 more employees. Because 4 people cannot keep that place cleaned up. Not to work on water leaks and sewage problems.
the manpower is just what you.
Right.
Exactly, okay. All right, we've got all of that, and next, I have, citizen to be heard.
Mayor, can I clarify one thing before you move on? Who are the committee members for sanitation?
We've got Mr. Councilman Freddie Dancer.
You need to, I think you previously correctly decided that there would be 3-member committees, so as to not violate open records if you're dealing with just one councilman.
Well, I know you're right,
Yeah.
but
So for the record, you can just appoint 2 more, or if 2 want to volunteer, it would help.
Councilman Nguyen, help him, and we need some manpower. So, and then, Smallwood, would you be willing to help with that? Sanitation, help the men out? Would you? So we've got Hensley and Smallwood. Thank y'all so much for accepting. Next, we have on the agenda, citizen to be heard, Mr. Mike Strawder. Is he here? Come on, Mr. Strawder, please. I hope I said it right.
Yeah, that's right.
Good evening. You and I spoke, and you might want to tell council what your situation has been.
Having problems with a sewer line at my house. And I've had this, they had a gas line that went through there 5, 6 years ago. They went down side my road. And ever since they went through there, I've had problems. Sewer backing up. I get people out there every year come out and clean it out. And everybody that's come out there, Mr. Henry Martin, I don't know if he's here now or not, but he's been out there 3 times working on it.
And it's been going on for 5 years, you said?
Ever since they worked on the gas line.
So what have they done? I mean, what previous, since you brought that to
They
their
would come out there and root it out, and, I mean, Emery, he could tell that there was something not right out there at the city sewer, under the road. Because you could hear the rotor hitting something out there when he was rooted out, and he called up here, and I called up here.
Who'd you talk to?
I cannot remember who I talked to. I don't ever get nobody's name. I just called it like when I called up here this time. Henry called up here, and then I called up. And Melvin then finally come out and put a washout in the ditch, between the ditch and my fence, between the road and my fence. But the problem's still not fixed. I've got, my pipes are gurgling in the house, and not this past weekend, but the weekend before last, it was right back to spewing out of the pipe out there in the yard again. And I called up to the city hall Monday morning, and I don't know if anybody come out there or not. I mean, it's by the time they got out there Monday afternoon or so. by the time they got out there, the
Is this the right, 111 Forest Avenue, and it has your name Slaughter?
strawberry.
On here it says Slaughter.
Well,
Here it has, I'm just trying to make sure we got the right person, okay?
it's SPR, AUDIT.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha.
But, I mean, this cost me, this year it was $175 Emory Martin. Last year was $275 because I had a washout put in my yard to keep from having to dig down to the line every time I had to get somebody out there. And it's been anywhere from $175 to $275 to get somebody out there every year since then. And I don't see why I need to be paying for this when the city, it's on the city side. I mean, me and Henry, 2 years ago, measured it off from where they was routing the line at to where they, with the sections of cables they used to route the line by, we laid them back out and they went right out into the road, right where the manhole's at, where my line goes in. So it's either come loose out there or it's broken out there, and it's got to be dug up at the road to be fixed before it gets fixed right.
And this is soon.
Yeah. And it's not done, like I said, I still got a problem now with my pipes are still gurgling, and it was spewing out last weekend again. If we do a lot of, like I've got a family of 4, and, we wash clothes all weekend, and, anything like, if we go run dishwasher, clothes washer, taking showers and everything at the time, all at once, it's gonna back up and start.
So it sounds like we heard we need some of that bio gone or whoever gone. Is that what it is, Mr. Wynn?
That won't help that problem.
No, that's not gonna help that.
Oh.
Emory was there when they worked on the line the other day, and he said that when they dug the hole up and broke my line, put that washout in it, he said that it was like a gush come out of my line. He said, so the problem's not on my side, it's at the city. And all they did when they come out there is put a washout in the ditch and left the ditch with holes knee deep.
Actually, when we went out there and put the clean out there, we dug up the road. We dug up the main all the way to the main.
To the edge of the road.
Well, we got to the main, where the sewer main runs through. And, cause we wouldn't have put the clean out there if we hadn't got to the main.
Then what, y'all must not fix the problem, because I still got a problem.
Well, I wasn't aware you was still having a problem.
Yeah, so I called Monday morning.
Well, Monday morning I sent
Not
back
this
out.
past Monday, but the Monday before last, and,
Yeah.
I mean, it was spewing in the backyard again.
Okay, like I said, I wasn't aware you still having a
Oh,
problem.
it's not in the front yard, it's in the
But-
backyard.
It's in my backyard.
But I do
Still, it's in my
know,
yard, spewing.
I do know that we dug up out. We didn't just dig up and put a clean out and then just cover it back up. We cleaned it out and it was flowing when we left.
Yeah, it, like I said,
And, like I said, if you still having problems, then we'd be more than happy to come back out and see about taking care of it.
we wasn't home all weekend this weekend, and if we started Sunday washing clothes and stuff like that, and it started gurgling in the house again, and we found I said, we just cut back on what we're doing.
Excuse me, he's on the agenda, and I understand. but
Pertains
excuse-
to this.
Okay, but let me say, he got on the agenda. You have to
When
do
he
the
had
same.
a problem,
Excuse me,
it run
Ms.
down
Brown,
the line.
excuse me, Ms. Brown. I understand that, but you have to get on the agenda like everybody else.
No, I don't.
Thank you. Go ahead.
I'm trying to help him out.
Well, excuse me, I understand, but
She is a neighbor.
and I understand that we all are neighbors, I hope, but,
I'm
right
having
now.
the same problem he's having.
Excuse me, you got on the agenda, you did it right, so I asked her to do it right.
It ain't gonna matter, you ain't gonna fix it.
Terry,
Here's the deal for Emory
Three
this
times,
time.
4 times.
And I know George knows him, and Mr. Terry knows him. Probably all of y'all probably met him at one time or other. But, this is,
So what does Mr. Martin do?
he comes out there when, like, anybody has a problem, he comes out there, roots the line out, checks the line. Yeah, that's probably, they make a copy of it.
So, but my question is, and I don't understand it, but, if this is a city problem, my question, I'm just trying to understand, maybe y'all can help me, y'all want some No. When you call Mr. Martin, aren't you calling a private citizen to do the work rather than the
Yeah, he
city?
looks like a contractor.
But he's not contracted with us. I've not
No,
seen his
he's not.
contract with the city.
I don't know, he's an individual.
I'm
that owns his own
I'm
business.
just saying, you know, with the city business, and I'm just, help me understand, I'm trying to.
What it is, some residents, make sure that it's not on their side, and they'll hire a plumber. And then when they call us, well, I've already had a plumber out, and it's gonna be on the city side. So
I can understand you, exactly.
Not everybody does that, but some people do, and that'll help us to know where to look when we go out to some location.
And I hear what you're saying, but I'm just trying to understand.
Right.
And so with all the wooing and everything else, you gotta remember, this is happening, and I'm sure if it was on your property, you want the same thing done, so give everybody the same amount of respect. It's about respect here. So, with that being said, I understand that, and I understand issues because where I live, the sewage and everything, we didn't know to call anybody else, except we tried not to call EPD, because with the spill, that sewage running down wide open, but we would call the city because it was a city problem. Coming from that's what we did. We didn't know to call someone else and then bill the city.
Well, I mean, I called.
I'm just saying, that's what we did.
I called it for you in the past,
And
but I didn't push it.
And this has been going on for 5 years?
Yes, every year. I ain't had it.
And so, go ahead.
Let me ask you a question. You said, this started happening after you put in the gas line?
I didn't put the gas line.
Well, after you had the gas.
It was operating a
Atlantic
laying
Gas
gas
put new
line,
lines
come
on
through
it.
there, going to Englehart,
Uh-huh.
down to the.
That VAS and
VAS
Purple
sent
Hills.
down there, they went down the side of my street, and they had trucks and everybody else out there, and there was a truck got stuck in the ditch.
So it was the city putting in the gas line?
No, it was
No, it was
Atlantic Gas
line.
line.
Okay, but they weren't hired through the city, they weren't contracted
No,
through the city?
it's
to do that?
there.
Okay, they were just putting that. So if this happened after you put, just started happening after the gas line?
Yeah, I've had a
Well, maybe
problem
we,
ever since.
where have you had the gas company check?
There was nothing wrong with gas.
I know it, but I'm just saying that, but you didn't have no problems until they put the gas line.
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
So that's what I'm thinking, you know, it could be that, it could be the gas line. And maybe they put it in wrong or something, if you didn't have no problems with your sewage and stuff until that took place.
Well, I mean, I shouldn't have to.
I mean, is this on private property?
It's on city property.
If Melvin's already dug it up out there at the street and got it
I
cleared.
know what Melvin did, but Melvin might didn't think about that. You know, just, he
Well,
said
I'm sure he
it
probably seen the gas
before
line.
gas line.
But,
Oh, yeah, they got all around, I'm sure. It goes
But
around.
that's what,
Might
I'm
be-
just saying,
might
that's
be-
what you said. You said that it didn't happen until after you put the gas line in. I mean, after they put the gas line in. So if it was working fine before they put the gas line in, I'm just wondering, could that be?
well, Miss Brown says she's having the same problem, so you might need to check.
Well, they put the gas line in on that street though.
I mean, I've noticed in the past couple of years, people around me's had them washouts in their yard, so there's obviously other problems around in there.
Yeah, you might need to check the main out in several places. I mean,
Yeah.
Melvin can do that.
But I mean, like I said, I'm still having problems with gurgling in the house, and like I said, the weekend before last, it backed up again, and we couldn't even run a sink without it filling up. I mean, it was that bad.
I'm sorry you're having that problem.
Yeah, Mike, I think, Melvin recognizes there is a problem now, maybe more than just right at your place, and I think he has agreed, hearing what you saying, he's gonna come up there and go ahead and if it takes riding out that line, we do borrow some equipment sometimes that's better than what we have in the city, and they wash the line out. And I think, Melvin, if you would, if you need to do that, please do it.
I popped the manhole cover out there myself. It's pretty cool. I mean, the pipe in the ground is half full of sediment and everything else. I mean, in that line out there.
So it's constantly
Yeah.
filling up?
I mean, I don't know, I mean, it's just got a little trickle coming out of the road, you know, that was back when it was stopped up and it wasn't getting nothing through it. And I couldn't tell what was, you know, if we was getting any flow or not, so. There's a problem over there that needs to be addressed.
Well, they can start downstream and clean out.
Yeah. But I mean, the bill, the last 4 I paid for, and I mean, I don't see why I need to keep paying these bills in the city, on the city side, is what I'm saying.
I can't understand, 'cause every time you fix it, every time it's something, you do something with the sewage, and then you still got the same problem, but you didn't have the problem for the gas line.
Well, I mean, they could have told something up when they come through, but
They could.
I don't know, I can't see, you know.
That's why I
That's what I'm
say,
saying, you don't know what it is.
that's why I asked Melvin, did they see the gas line? You know, we have had them where they drill right through it.
And that might be what done happened.
That one didn't do it.
I mean, I've been out there with Ingrid before, and we could hear, you know, you could hear the rotary hitting something in the line. And you could be standing out there on the, at the road and feel the burning of the ground vibration when they was hitting, you know, when that thing, so that thing's got to be forward.
I think we need to check everything out with the city.
Exactly. Council, Councilwoman Whipple, you wanna restate what you just said?
I just said that I think we should check out all the options, whether it's coming from the gas line or from the city. Since y'all already did everything.
Well, when they put the gas line through there, city employees was there, because they had to be, because they were running that through there, so, I mean, I don't know what they could have told us or what they didn't there, but I do know.
It started after.
Yeah, it started after that.
And it could affect the whole street.
Okay, so what we're going to do is she said, excuse me, we're still in a council meeting. So, your stance is, Council Whipple, that are you gonna make a motion or what?
Well, I would like to make a motion that we just check everything out to make sure what it is.
Motion has been made, do I have a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll have everything checked out.
What about the reimbursement?
You paid that $175.
Plus,
I don't make that decision.
Mike, would you just give us a little time and let us work it out? We're trying to
like
make
I
things
said,
right.
I've been paying out last 4 or 5 years on this.
How much altogether have you paid?
This year, like I said, was 175, last year was about 275, because I had a washout put in out there in my yard. And it's been averaged around.
Did they reimburse you all those years?
Who's that?
Previous years that you?
I had never been reimbursed with any of this. I hadn't never pursued it like I did this time. I just got fed up with it, and I said this time get something to do something with other direction with it. So, well, it's gonna get worse. And this time, we could not get it unstopped. Emory couldn't get it unstopped this time. It just stayed back up. But normally in years past, we could get out there and work with it and get it broke loose, and then I was fine again for, 7, 8 months, 9 months. But this year it just.
How many times has Mr. Martin come?
Emory's been out there 3 or 4 times, and I've had 2.
This year?
No, in years past. And I've had, Sconiers Plumbing and Macon, they've come out twice. I know we've been come twice.
Did it happen just once a year?
It's usually around once a year, something like that. No, it's just different times. I mean, it's just, I don't know what it's got to do with with a lot of rain or something or whatever, but I kind of noticed the last couple of years when it's real wet, it's worse.
Well, thank you so much, and like I said, give us a little bit more time.
All right, I will. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Next, Council, I would entertain a motion that we enter into executive session.
I make a motion, we go into executive session to discuss pending litigation.
Motion has been made, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed?
You want to go inside? This resolution, you always bank accounts, right?
I make a motion, we go back into regular session.
Council, this motion has been made in second. All in favor? Any opposed? Anyone sign the resolution?
What that needs to do is sign the resolution for changes of, the bank accounts at Morris Bank.
council will now entertain a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
Our next council meeting is scheduled for June, unless otherwise, June 1st, 2015.
I know.
This is leading into Fort Benning. Many active duty soldiers are now stationed here, serving their nation. Yet, if they go to a city council meeting in many of the cities in the state of Georgia, and they want to address their elected officials, they would have to do like the citizens in Valdosta, Georgia, are currently required to do. That is to wait to the end of the meeting to present their concerns to their elected officials, because they are the last item on the agenda. And too often, not even the city councilman can respond to these citizens because their elected officials are listed on the agenda after, or rather before, let me repeat, before citizens' participation. So if the elected officials wanted to respond to a soldier, airman, Marine, or Navy personnel, these sailors will have to wait until the end of the agenda without their elected officials even responding to their concerns. Yet they are called to serve their nation in time of peace as well as in time of war. And so it gives the appearance that in the state of Georgia that they do not want to hear from Georgia citizens. Don't take my word for it. Google cities across Georgia and see where citizen participation are listed on the agenda. And once again, in most cases, even the elected officials come before, let me repeat, before citizens' participation. And so time is up now for us to be quiet. We must speak out and make our government truly a government of, for, and by the people. And if we don't do that, y'all, let me repeat, if we don't do that, y'all, we're going to lose all of our rights here in the United States of America, and more so here in the state of Georgia. This is the Ghetto Free Press. We get it to you so you will be better educated, because information will save us, but ignorance will destroy us.